But in all other matters, let it be her aim to obey her husband and give no heed to public affairs. Women in ancient Greece struggled to exist. It wasn't just a struggle to be equal to men, but even to be seen was unheard of. Some women married, some had demanding jobs, and others became slaves. As children, girls were not permitted to attend school. Some were allowed to have minimal education taught by their brothers and fathers in their homes. The mothers taught the girls how to keep a house and stay unseen. The men often kept separate rooms in the house for the wives and children because the women could not be seen by male visitors. From an early age, women are taught to obey men. They start off as property of their fathers and shortly become property of their husbands. Fathers of boys chose who they wanted their sons to marry. Sometimes mothers would be able to suggest a young girl, but it was often overlooked. Typically, girls would be between the ages of 7 and 18 when they would be given to their suitor's family. Girls who did not have suitors were in most cases sold to slavery or prostitution. A woman's life in ancient Greece revolved around the wishes of her husband. In order to truly be considered his wife, she would have to give him a child. Wealthier women almost never left their homes. Slaves were sent to do all the necessary chores done outside of the house. The single life was unacceptable for women of this time. Pillars of the society performed the arranged marriage ceremonies. The bride's family offered a dowry to the groom's family in order to show their appreciation for allowing their daughter into the groom's family. Childbirth was one of the most dangerous aspects of a woman's life. An average ancient Greek woman was a mother to 4 children, even though most typically gave birth to 6. Female births were considered to be more physically traumatic on a mother's body compared to the births of males. Shortly after birth, a father would decide if he would like to keep the child or expose it. Exposing it meant leaving the baby at the top of a mountain and allowing the gods to decide its fate. This often happened to female babies. If chosen by their fathers, children usually were only allowed to stay with their mothers for the first 7 years of their lives. Women had virtually no legal status. They were allowed to be citizens, but were restricted from the right to sue, hold public office, or own land. At times, women were allowed no higher privileges than slaves. Most unmarried women in ancient Greece were prostitutes. Regular prostitutes were typically slaves. Citizens that were prostitutes were referred to as heteras. Heteras were specially trained in the arts of dance and conversation. These women were typically the most educated of all women at the time. Heteras came into their occupation because they were unable to obtain a husband. Their role in society was essential, however, no matter how poorly they were treated.